if you want to focus on the negative of business, there's a lot. There's a lot of negative. It's hard. It's draining. You're gonna miss stuff. You're gonna miss out on family time. You're gonna have to make sacrifices. I mean, my wife and I, we sold our house. It was the only way we could afford to put some money down on some equipment. And as far as equipment's concerned, we wouldn't waver. It's American made. It comes straight out of Tennessee with the Indiana steel. It's arsenal strength, and it's the best in the business.
That's awesome.
And we wouldn't waver.
Welcome to today's episode of the Lead Belt Chronicles podcast. I am your host, John Steffen. If you've not yet done so, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss another episode. Without further ado, let's get started. Back here to the episode number 5. I have a new guest here with us, which is going to be Cole Gowen. So Cole, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, John. Pleasure to be here, sir.
Well, I appreciate you. So what I did with the Cole is I shot you a text the other day, and I wanted you to send me back some, kind of some fun facts about you, or just, some stuff you want me to share, pretty much.
Absolutely.
I'm going to read this, and I don't want to take away your, take the mic from you or whatever. You can kind of take these and just reiterate them and kind
Absolutely.
of, rediscuss them if you want to. So these are quotes from you. So you said, "I am a husband, father, business owner, and employee. It's a hard dynamic, but it can be done. Everything I've done has been self-made. When my wife and I got married, we had one old vehicle and about $900 to our name and lived in the basement. Now we're living in our third house and have been able to create the opportunity to start a business.
Yep.
I generally want to make a difference in our community, help create stronger people physically and mentally, because the world is tough. I want to see people be tougher than whatever is thrown at them. We have been through trials and tribulations, but we keep moving forward no matter what comes up. That's what burn the ships means to me, and it's tattooed on my arm as a constant reminder that failure isn't an option." That's awesome, man.
Oh, thank you, sir.
So, like I said, take that, run with it, but tell me your story. So, I don't know if I mentioned in the beginning, but you are a part owner of Primal Instinct Gym down in Farmington at the factory.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how'd that come about? Because I know it was you and your cousin, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was me and my cousin Matt, and he actually, the whole idea of everything we wanted to do, it goes way back actually, it goes all the way back to 2018. Matt was actually ready, he started the whole idea. The name Primal Instinct is actually, he came up with that back in 2018. He was going to do a gym, and then naturally, just like everything kind of seems to happen, life got in the way, some bad stuff happened, he had a truck stolen from him, whole ordeal. So anyway, it got put on the back burner, and then it kind of just sat, and it just remained an idea, remained a dream, which is generally what happens anyway. And then you can kind of fast forward that a little bit to, it would have been 2020, pretty much, I guess, right kind of after the whole COVID ordeal and that all started. I had actually just left my job fairly unexpectedly. I had a 1-month-old daughter in the house. I had a mortgage. I had, payments, bills, just like everybody else does. And I also wanted more from life, just in general, because, having a kid will change some stuff. It makes you, it'll change the way you think. It'll change your train of thought. And I was like, I'm absolutely miserable. I was an equipment operator, did it for 7 years. I was like, I'm miserable. This is not what I want to do anymore. Like, this is not the example I want to set for my daughter going forward. Like, you just have to settle. That's not what I wanted. So anyway, talked to Matt in like early to mid-ish 2020. I'm like, hey, remember the gym? He's like, yeah. I was like, cool, let's do it. So we kind of came together and thought about it, and it was a dream. It was all exciting, stuff like that. We wrote everything down on a piece of paper in my living room on my couch. Like, this is kind of the stuff we've got to do if we want to make this happen. So anyway, fast forward a little bit. I actually went to work at Midwest Sports Center. That's where we met. Became homies.
I will never forget. And honestly, you could just be honest with me. When I first started working there, I had some knowledge about mechanical, work. But I'm like, these guys probably think I'm the most Dumbest guy ever.
No, we really did. Like, we loved you. It was you brought a good spirit. You know, you were always uplifting, and you brought something that at that time, that's what that place needed, because we were, you know, swamped. After COVID, you know, the whole industry was side by side, stuff like that. It all took off.
Yeah, right after COVID, everybody and their brother almost went out and bought one.
Well, yeah, the government shut everything down. So what do? You go outside and you
hit the trails.
Yeah, you spend 30 grand on a 4-wheeler. So
yeah.
anyway. But anyway, yeah, so after that, you know, I was working at Midwest, and like, it was a good job. I enjoyed it. And Matt was trucking at that time. He was driving a truck, and he hated it. So we had that to bond over while we were trying to start this business. And I mean, that's pretty much right then and there. That's where it started. And then, yeah, there was definitely plenty of trials and tribulations, kind of what we call it, of getting the place open and moving forward, and taking a dream and an idea and kind of putting together a plan. And granted, we're, you know, just kids. We had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
We just knew that it was possible if we tried hard, you know, and
yeah,
that pretty much remains true. You know, I feel like you can do anything you set your mind to, as long as you keep going forward. We got kicked in the teeth a lot. There was tons and tons of paperwork and regulations and all kinds of stuff that we had no idea about, but you know, you just had to eat an elephant. You do it one bite at a time, and that's what we did. So.
Do you ever reminisce like how hard it was to get to the point you are right now?
Oh man, so like, you know, that's funny too. Like, so the point I'm at right now, you know, we're still a new business. We're still learning. I think one of the most important things a new business owner and a small business owner can be, the most important thing is stay humble. Because there's always somebody that knows more than you. That's just how it is, you know. 100% listening, 50% talking. Like, it's generally how we operate. You know, I know where we're at is not where we want to be, but we've made it, I mean, so much further than we were when we started.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. I mean, you know, there was a lot of stuff we went through, but it was worth it, absolutely. You know, I've gotten to meet, you know, we've got a lot of members now, which is awesome. I've gotten to meet a lot of them. We've made a lot of friendships and a lot of relationships with people and different businesses and stuff like that, which is a really cool aspect of it, because, you know, if you want to focus on the negative of business, there's a lot. There's a lot of negative. It's hard, you know, it's draining. You're going to miss stuff. You're going to miss out on family time. You're going to have to make sacrifices. I mean, my wife and I, we sold our house. It was the only way we could afford to put some money down on some equipment. And as far as equipment's concerned, you know, we wouldn't waver. It's American made, comes straight out of Tennessee with Indiana steel. It's Arsenal strength, and it's the best in the business.
That's awesome.
And we wouldn't waver on that. You know, we can get into that timeline kind of later, because you know what we went through to get that here. But I mean, yeah, there's still days where I wake up and I'm like, man, you know, this is kind of the first thing I sent you with that dynamic. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a business owner, and I'm an employee. And it's hard to balance the four sometimes, but it's 110% worth it. You just have to keep, you know, you have to keep the course, and you can't stop. That's burn the ships. Yeah. You know, there is no turning back. There's no going back home. This is it. We will make it work, and we will succeed.
Remember, you know, like I said, we both worked in Midwest before I started working where I'm at now, and I remember the time where you said that your daughter came up to you and said, you know what, I want to go home.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And that would be tough, you know, kind of.
Oh, it was, man. That's like, to this day, there's, you know, we've been through a whole lot. You know, that's the life doesn't stop, the family stuff doesn't stop. You know, everybody's got the same struggles. You know, my family's not perfect, nor is the majority of people's. But yeah, we sold our house because the market came up, got crazy, and that's how we did a lot of funding and kept the place open, because we, you know, to kind of get into the timeline of it a little bit, it was, we signed a lease on our first place because we had to have square footage, and I had to have an address to have the equipment delivered. I didn't know where I was going. I knew I wanted to be in Farmington because that community needed a good place to train and needed an uplifting culture, and we want to make a change. We genuinely care about people. So we signed a lease on a 1,500 square foot facility. Wasn't near as big as we wanted. It was all we could afford. We signed that lease in July of 21. By the time we got kicked in the teeth trying to get funding through SBA loans and other stuff, we went from July of 2021, signing the lease. We didn't open until the following July 2022. So my cousin and I worked our hands to the bone to make enough money where we could pay our own bills and also pay a lease on a place that was sitting vacant, because that was the only way we could make it happen.
Yeah.
I don't know how much equipment to order if I don't know how big of a square footage I have, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's cart before the horse. There's no perfect way to do it. That was the only option we had.
Yeah.
So kind of circle back to what you said. Yeah, it absolutely destroyed me. You know, we sold our house. We moved in with my mom, which fortunately the dynamic of that was awesome. You know, we just all kind of took as one big family, and it helped. You know, honestly, it helped us out with Rory and helped us get the place open. But yeah, we were, I don't know, a couple months into it, after we'd sold the house and moved out there. My daughter came up to me and she said, "Dad, I want to go home." I said, "Baby, we are home." And she said, "No, I want to go home to my room." And it still burns in here, man. It's something I'll never get rid of. But I use that now as fuel because, you know, I just bought her a house.
Yeah.
It was awesome. We just closed on a house here in Park Hills, and she's got her own room again, you know.
Yeah.
And that was rough, man. It was. I carried that for about 2 years is how long it took for us to catch back up from the financial burden of supporting a business that's not making any money.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, this past summer, actually, I was able to buy her. You know, we bought a new house and moved in. It was cool. She got her own room now, and that's what I use. You know, because sometimes it's an unfortunate process, and probably not everybody's story's like that. Although everybody does struggle, I don't believe there's very many small business owners that are passionate about what they do that haven't struggled.
Yeah.
So to me, it wasn't a surprise to have to struggle, but I was not expecting it in that way. So now it's like, you know, I put her through this, I put my wife through this, we sold our house to make this happen. You know, my cousin Matt, he had some real sentimental stuff he had to get rid of. You know, we both have a story we could sit down and talk about for hours, but you know, I use that now as there is no turning back.
No.
I'm gonna make a life for my wife and my daughter to where they don't ever have to worry about going back home. You know,
Yeah.
we'll always have a home.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing for me. That's what got me to here. You gotta take those dark, unfortunate, negative things and use them as fuel. Like, there is nothing that's gonna stop me. And that's what we did.
See, and this is really cool because these are the things that, I'll tell you what I hate to see on TikTok or YouTube is these guys that come out and say, "Oh, well, I can get you making 6 figures a year, this, and this," and they talk about the glamour and the bright lights, and the thing is, they don't share the struggles of, you know, number one, you guys started a business when most people would never even dream about starting a business. I mean, that's the thing is these are the things that it's just amazing to be able to hear that's what it actually takes to grow a business, especially that you're passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, I mean, you know, for us, you know, my cousin Matt and I, we've always been fairly avid weightlifters. It was a hobby, you know, it was something we were passionate about. But not only was it that, you know, for better or for worse, you started to see a decline in the community. You've seen a decline in humanity as a whole whenever COVID hit. You know, we were isolated, we were inside. You know, there was a lot of things that happened that I wasn't okay with, just, you know, as a community as a whole. You know, it breeds sickness, it breeds depression, it breeds anxiety.
Yeah.
And I still work through that every day. You know, I struggle with, you know, depression, anxiety, stuff like that. You know, the past year has not been easy. You know, we've had some stuff go on. Some less than ideal things. You know, my dad passed away and stuff like that, and that's, you know, it's hard in my industry as being a gym owner. One of our biggest things is lead by example. So whenever that happened, it put me down, you know, for months, and I'm just not coming back out of it because it's a real talk thing. You know, it's hard.
Yeah.
Just because I own a gym don't mean I'm jacked and always in shape. You know, I disappeared for several months. I ran my business in the background, and I didn't take care of myself, and I struggled with depression, anxiety, and stuff like that. And it's amazing. I'm like, the whole reason we opened this place was to help people with help people get through the exact same things that I'm dealing with right now. You know, we've been open a little over a year now, so it was wild for me to get to experience my own culture and my own community within my gym. You know, I was in there every day. Well, I was, for the most part, I was an avid powerlifter. I was in there every day training. I knew everybody. They knew me. I had a lot of, you know, made a lot of friends in there, you know.
Yeah.
I disappeared for several months and came back, and the very first night I went back to train just to kind of try to get my head straight and get out of this, I was greeted with, hey man, we missed you. Like,
Yeah.
how you doing? Not to mention all the messages and texts and calls and stuff I got from my, you know, members, but they're more than members, they're my friends.
Yeah.
And all the support that I had, I'm like, you know, like, I was able to see what I created and to see that it works the way that we wanted it to work. It's more than just being about lifting heavy weight or lifting any weight or whatever you're trying to do, whether it's, you know, bodybuilding, powerlifting, CrossFit, whatever. It's more about that. It's the mental aspect is what we focus on so much. And it was so wild for me to get to experience my own community whenever I was down and needed help. You know,
Yeah.
we created this for other people. I didn't expect anything out of it. You know, if you want to make a lot of money, don't open a gym. It's not, I'm going to be honest, it's
Yeah.
not like, it's not super lucrative. It will be. It will be. We're on, you know, we are on the first sentence of the first chapter of the book of Primal Instinct, Strength, and Fitness. But as of right now, I'm going to tell you, if you want to get rich, don't do this. Like, there's other ways to do it, but that's not why we did it. We're passionate. We want to see the community rise above where they're at right now. And, you know, for me to get to experience that firsthand, whenever I was down, it was like, wow,
Yeah.
you know, I full-heartedly got to see our vision come to fruition, come to life, get up off the ground and run. And then I got knocked down, and that same business that I created to lift other people up dragged me back up out of where I was at. And it's just forever grateful for everybody that we've got in there right now, because it's such a wild dynamic. It's so wild to experience, you know, on firsthand. So it was really, really cool.
Yeah, it's community.
To see. Yeah, absolutely. You know.
This is the kind of discussions I love, like the raw discussion, like
Yeah.
no like, you know, roses and better roses, no talking about, I mean, it can be rough sometimes.
Oh, it's
you know?
100%, yeah. And that's the thing. It's, you know, I'm sure every small business owner ever probably has some form of a similar story. It's hard. You
Yeah.
know, you're not, the way things are geared, the laws and legalities of so much different things, and every industry is different, but it's unfortunate, but it feels like the system is pitted against you.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle for the average Joe to, you know, start a business even, you know, that kind of goes back to the first thing, you know, I'm a husband, father, business owner, and employee. I still work for Midwest Sports Center. I love it. They have set an awesome example for me, you know. The owner there and management, stuff like that, their team that they have is great. And they've set an awesome example for me to be able to take that back and apply that to my own business. Mm-hmm. And it is, though, it's kind of go back to that. It is a hard dynamic because it's 24 hours in a day. I got to sleep a little bit, and you know, it can be challenging because I don't want to miss. My daughter just started gymnastics. I haven't missed the gymnastics event yet.
Yeah.
And that's one more evening that I don't have free anymore to focus on my business, focus on my job, focus on my wife. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a strange thing, but I will tell you, I'll tell everyone that if you have a dream, if there's something you want to do, if there's a business you want to start, do it.
Yeah.
And just don't stop. That's the thing. So many people get shut down. You know, by all right, about the 10th time me and Matt got denied for a loan to order some gym equipment, we should have stopped. You know, you can only get punched in the teeth so many times before it's like, man, I'm done.
Yeah.
But we're just stupid enough to keep standing back up and plowing forward, and now I'm proud of that because, you know, it's been a journey, but now we've got something to be proud of, you know, and it's cool. So the way that I see that now, you know, it's kind of to go back, we talked about it a little bit before the podcast, but as far as the entrepreneurial spirit, we'll hit that first real quick. Comfort is a slow death. What I mean by that is comfort where you're at your job and you don't like it. You're not necessarily passionate about what you're doing. You're doing it to pay the bills, and paycheck Friday rolls around. You got $30. You're like, cool, man. I'm gonna go splurge and buy myself some dinner out somewhere, and I'm gonna sit at home all weekend, and I'm gonna stay in my comfort zone in my own home, and I'm gonna stay there. I'm gonna do this for 65 years until I can retire on 40% of what I couldn't afford to live off in the first place.
Yeah.
Comfort is a slow death means to me that death will kill all of your dreams, your aspirations, and your inspiration. That will crush you slowly if you don't do something about it.
Yep.
And it's an unfortunate thing, but it happens all the time. I see it a lot. There's a lot of, I'm gonna try this once, if it don't work, I'm done.
Yeah.
And that kind of rolls into the burn the ships, you know. I heard a story about burn the ships. I heard that slogan somewhere and it stuck out to me, and I, did a little bit of research, a quick Google search, and I believe that was Cortez, and it was a pirate. And whenever they conquered South America or something like that, they pulled all their ships up, they unloaded them, and he went back with a torch and he burned every single one of them. They had land to conquer. There was no turning back. There was no going home because they physically had no way to go home. It was succeed or die.
Yeah.
And while that sounds barbaric to this day and age because everything's so pillowy and comfortable, it stands true in a lot of things, whether it be, physically I didn't light a boat on fire, but mentally I made sure that I was going to succeed. There is no other option. I'm going to keep plowing away at it until something gives. Eventually it will. It'll break loose. I'm going to win something. I'm going to win a day. Then I'm going to win a week. I'm going to win a month. I'm going to win a year.
Yeah.
And that's burn the ships to me. That was our motto for so long. It still is. We got a banner in the gym. I got it tattooed on my arm, and that's gotten me this far. And it'll continue to motivate me because it's as far as the dynamic is concerned. There's so much you can take away from that.
Yeah.
It's not. You can apply that to so many things. I'm not going to fail.
Well,
I'm gonna get slowed down. I'm gonna
Yeah.
hit a road bump. I'm gonna get kicked in the teeth, and it's gonna keep happening.
Yeah.
Hard things will always happen, but I'm not gonna stop. That's what it means.
And the thing is, and not everybody's going to be an entrepreneur and step out from their 40, 50-hour week job. Not everybody's cut, I don't want to say cut out for that, but it like as up until now, honestly, this is just probably a tip of the iceberg of what it actually truly takes to start a business. And so it doesn't even have to be even like an entrepreneurial situation, but like even in your job, like some people probably are out there thinking like, oh, well, in this job, like, if it doesn't work out, I'll go back to my old job.
Yeah.
Like, no, like if you got this job, put your all into it and do your best.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it doesn't apply just to necessarily, entrepreneur, business owner, there's such thing as an entrepreneur, which is someone who creates a career out of somewhere they're working, and that it applies the exact same way. If you're passionate about something, pursue it.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's your own business or if it's working for someone. There is a ton of industries out there that are, we have to have them.
Yeah.
There's so much different stuff. There's agriculture, there's sales, whatever it be. There's a place for everyone.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing to me is we've got, we only got so many years on this earth. And I read a thing, it's super cliche, but there's 2 dates on your tombstone and a dash. Make the most of the dash.
Yeah.
That's where it counts. The day you're born, the day you die, those are important, but that's not near as important as that dash between it, because that's what you did. That's your legacy.
Yeah.
So make something of it. And that's the thing, man. That's what I'm saying. It applies to so many different aspects because, it's not necessarily a cookie cutter thing. It's just don't stop.
Well, and another thing I'll kind of add to what you're saying is, and this is something I like to live by, is there's a verse that says, I'm going to kind of loosely paraphrase. It says, life is but a mist, here one day, gone the next.
Yes.
I don't, at least with my current job, I don't have to get out super early, but I know when I used to, driving into work, I would leave the house and there'd be a light mist, and I'd drive 15 minutes, and by the time 10, 15 minutes, it's gone.
It's gone.
Like it's just how quick it is.
Absolutely. That's, I learned a lot about life when we had our daughter. Man, it changes stuff.
Yeah.
And, she'll be 4 here in January, and it's not, I don't look at stuff the same anymore. 30 years, I'm 29 years old now, 29, 30, whatever. Sounds like a lot until you're there. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just getting started. I
I
should
know.
have started 10 years ago.
Yeah, 30 ain't, I just turned 27, and 30 just seems like you're just getting ready to turn, 20 again, you know what I mean? It just goes by so fast.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's not, time doesn't stop, and that's, that was a big thing, when we opened the gym, we can kind of go back to that a little bit. When we opened the gym, if you're gonna be successful, you have to, in the gym industry, in the fitness industry, in your gym, it has to be 24-hour access. There is like private gyms and stuff like that. That's not what we are. We are open to, I don't care if you are an elite level medalist powerlifter, or if you are someone who's never touched a weight in your life, but you want to get better. You want to get stronger physically, and in turn, you will get stronger mentally. That's what we're here for. We got gold medals hanging on our wall from powerlifting competitions from our other owner, Brett, and one of our other members that we took to Ohio this year. We do it right, we do it good, but it's not just, that's not what we're about. That's not the only thing we're here for. I want to see people get better. I want to see people reach their full potential. And that's kind of why, that's kind of why we've gotten to where we're at now, I think, in this time span, is because take care of people will take care of you.
Sure.
It's kind of the way I see it.
When I work with you, I worked with you for about a year and a half, I'd say.
Somewhere around there.
And it was truly neat to be able to, and obviously, in the work we were doing, it's hard to really kind of talk with you throughout, I catch you throughout the day, because obviously when you're in a delership, shop like that, you're on the opposite ends anyway, it's kind of hard. But
absolutely.
It was always so cool to be able to come in every day, and it wasn't every day we talked about it, but just hear like, hey, here's what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember a lot of the struggles you were going through, and that's why when I reached out to you, I'm like, man, you have a story that needs to be told.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Like,
it's funny for me to even think that, to me, I don't feel like I've got much to tell, but if there's one single person out there that will get anything out of some of the stuff I've had to go through, and it helps them in their journey, then by all means, I wanna do that. I wanna see people succeed, and that's why I'm here. It's awesome. I remember us talking about this whole idea that you're doing right now, and that's been years ago.
Yeah.
And for me to get to see it come to fruition because you made the choice to pursue it, it's awesome. It gets me excited as, not an American, but it gets me excited as, another, pursuing entrepreneur. It gets me excited to see other people do that, because it boils down to, it sounds super cliche and corny, but like, follow your dreams, it is, and I don't care what they are, that might not make sense, it probably won't, they're not gonna make sense to everybody. I've been laughed at a lot, like, how's that gym doing? I'm gonna show you in a few years, you know what I mean? That's just how it is.
Yeah. So,
it's just nice to see other people pursuing that and defeating and going against the status quo, and that's...
Well, and recently I talked to a guy, and he told me, he's like, I've had $1 million ideas on my life. I think he's successful right now. Yeah. But there's some people that go their whole life with these quote unquote $1 million ideas that they don't pursue. And then you look back at 62, 65, whatever retirement age is going to be, and say, what if? Mm-hmm. What if I would have done that? What if I would have started that idea? What if I would have created that product? What if I would have done this? Yeah, that is, in the very beginning, other than just, I don't even know how to say it, like, we just wanted to go against the status quo. That was one of our things. Like, we've got the entrepreneurial spirit, and for better or for worse, it's almost it's almost a sickness, because life would be a lot easier if I just clocked in and clocked out and went home and did my own thing. I'd have a lot more free time. I'd have a lot more, things would be a lot easier, Yeah. But it's just unfortunate. I don't. This is the path we've chosen to take. And while it is hard, it's worth it. You just have to not stop. And I feel like that's the mark that gets missed most of the time, Like, I'm still learning. We are... If you can be one thing in a business like entrepreneurship, it can be one thing, is be humble, because like I said, there's always somebody that's going to know more than you, and it's a super important thing. I've got mentors, Matt has mentors and stuff like that, and it's not necessarily just in our industry, it's not just in the fitness or gym industry, but it's just business as a whole. Just about 90% of all businesses have to have some form of customer service, and it's amazing that's the mark that's missed almost all of the time. Mm-hmm. Take care of people, like, that's it. If there's a need that they have that I can meet, I'm going to do it. That's pretty much what it is. It's genuinely just taking care of the people and a genuine care.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not fake. Like, I don't say that just to say it. It's a corny cliche thing to say, but I believe it 100%, you know.
For sure. So we'll kind of draw this to the end, and I want to give you kind of an opportunity. You know, I'm sure some stuff is probably popped in your brain that you forgot to say. Do you want to leave them with some bullet points, or leave them with kind of like the last few words?
Oh man, there's a lot, you know. Just in my experience, you know, like I said, we're in the like 2-3 year room right now, you know. Once we get to that 5-year room, that 10-year room, you know, I'll have more information to pass down. You know, right now my biggest thing is just don't stop. Life is hard. It really feels, you know, there's a sense of heaviness just in the world, and it feels like we're not meant to succeed. But I do truly believe that there is people that were put on this earth to do more than just pay bills and die, and pay taxes and die. We're not meant to just be a cog in the machine.
Yeah.
We're meant to change lives and uplift each other. And that's, to me, that's my biggest takeaway. That's what we started this thing for, and that's what we'll die on that hill. That's how we do business. You know, the moment our business goes any other way than that, we know we're going the wrong way. I mean, that's just how it is, you know. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest thing for me, is just don't stop. I don't care what you're doing. If it's fitness, if it's, you know, business, if it's your relationship, your marriage, whatever it is, don't stop.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's burn the ships, man.
And it's so easy to give up.
It is. Well, that's the thing. It's a lot easier to give up, but that's the same thing, like you just said. It's hard now, but it's gonna be hard later if I don't, you know, choose your heart. I've heard this 1,000 times, and it applies to so much. You know, fitness right now, what's hard? It's hard to get up in the morning and work out. It's hard to diet and eat right, because for what it's worth, a lot of the stuff we're fed these days is absolute garbage.
Mm-hmm.
But what's harder is heart disease. What's harder is arthritis. What's harder is not being able to get out of bed on my own because I didn't take care of myself 20 years ago. And I'm telling this to myself too, because I'm coming out of my own depression, my own things that I've had to deal with.
Yeah.
And what it boils down to is just don't stop. You know,
Yeah.
It's hard now. It's going to be hard later. Choose your heart.
Yeah.
I want to leave behind a legacy for my family, something that they can be proud of, and that's my whole entire end goal. I don't want to leave a life insurance policy and a 401k that I worked my hands into the ground for them to be able to, you know, hopefully, you know, get some form of a claw ahead in the future society, because the way things are going right now is not super great. I want to leave a legacy for my family, and I want to make sure they're taken care of. And whenever when I draw my last breath, I want to be able to look back and be proud of the things I've done.
Yeah.
And that's my whole motivation right now, is making sure my people are taken care of. And what it all boils down to is just don't stop.
Well, and the thing is, we come to this world with nothing, and we're gonna leave this world with nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Yeah, I always make the joke, the only thing I'm ever gonna take with me to my grave is my tattoos. So that's the only thing that's going with me.
There you
know
go.
what I mean? So.
And that's my end goal too. You know, I know obviously I can't take what I accrue with me.
Absolutely.
But here's what I want to do. You know, not just because Blaze and I don't have kids yet. We're planning to have kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whenever we start having kids, I want them to be able to see, look at Dad. Look what Dad did. You know, and I want to be a good example to show them, like, here's what Dad did. You know, if Dad did this, you know, just a good example. Leave a legacy, man.
That's it, man. That's 100%. You know, everybody's driven by their own desires, by their own intentions, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that. But for me, it just so happens that's what I'm about. Going into this, I didn't know. You know, going into this, I wanted to make some money, and I wanted to wake up in the morning, and I wanted to do something that I was passionate about, something that I could be proud of. And it's wild, you know, as you get older, you know, that changes. You know, now it's less about me, it's more about my family. You know, it's not, I work a lot right now, you know, that goes back to that strange dynamic. I'm an employee still. I work roughly 50 hours a week. I'm 8 to 6 most days, and I get off there, and throughout the day, you know, the behind the scenes, I'm running a business off the phone, and I've got an awesome manager right now. We're constantly communicating, but it never stops.
Yeah.
And that's part of the strange dynamic. But the reason I want to bring that up is because there's a lot of it. It's really easy to make an excuse. And I've heard a thing. It's a saying. It goes back. I think it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I'm not sure. You can have results or excuses, but you can't have both.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I mean by the weird dynamic of I have a wife that I want to dedicate time to. I have a kid that I want to dedicate time to. I have a business that I have to dedicate time to, and a full-time job. It's hard.
Yeah.
But it can be done.
For sure.
So the people that say I don't want to because I'm not gonna have the time, sit down with me and let's put some pen to paper and I'll show you how much time you got.
Yeah.
You just don't realize it because you're wasting it. I just went through. I have been a part of social media since it came out. I had a MySpace page in like 2006. That's my generation, my age group I played outside for the majority of my childhood, and towards the end of it, social media came along. I just recently deleted all of my stuff off because I realized how much time I was wasting on it.
Yep.
It's a distraction. Now, it's also a super, super important piece of, networking and communication. For me, it was like, I was getting into that part where I'm like, man, I don't know if I have time to do this. I don't know if I have time to do that. Well, my phone told me that I spent, average 4.5 hours a day on it the other day. So I'm like, well, I guess I at least got 4.5 hours that I can, scoop up somewhere. You know what I mean? So
for sure.
Just hit the bullet points. I know I probably dragged that out way too long, but
no,
for me, it's the biggest takeaway is just don't quit. Just don't. And that's, if you can apply that to whatever issue you're facing, whatever trial you have in front of you, keep standing back up, dust yourself off, get kicked in the teeth again, pick yourself back up, and wash, rinse, and repeat until, somebody's asking you for a job.
Yeah.
And that's how we feel, that's how we operate, so.
Well, and I'll kind of say this, and we'll kind of draw to an end here. It's Chris Dunlap mentioned the very first or second episode, and I think I've mentioned this between now and then, but success is the little wins as you go.
Oh man, 100%. Yeah, so Chris nailed that, because it is not like, the public will only see what you've done. So like for us, was it a win when we opened a gym? It absolutely was. The first win was whenever we were able to get approved for, like, you can ask Mathis, whenever we were able to get approved for, like, I don't know, I forgot how many credit cards and personal loans we did to make this happen.
Yeah.
Like, you want to talk about risk? We had all of it. That was the first win. We went to the bank and opened a business account, and they let us, like, we had the correct paperwork because we didn't know what we're doing. That was a win.
Yeah.
The small wins add up to big wins. That's what I said in the beginning of the podcast, I think. First you win the day, well then you win enough days, you win the week.
Yeah.
You win enough weeks in a month, you won that month. You win enough months in that year, you won the year. It's not about huge grand opening victories. It's about, in my case here personally, the last couple months, after my dad passed away, I wasn't prepared for that. Wins for me looked like, hey, I got out of bed and I wasn't absolutely 100% miserable because I made myself go in and get a workout in, because that helps me physically and mentally. It's the small wins by far are so much more important than the big wins, because without the small wins, the big wins wouldn't even be there.
Yeah.
So, that's absolutely kudos to him, because that's kudos to him for bringing that up, because that's so true.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's awesome.
Well, Cole, I really appreciate you coming out. I know you just got off work here. You got off work at 5, I should say, and so during the week, so I know you got a lot going on. Appreciate you coming by.
Oh man,
sit down with me.
I appreciate you having me, man. It's awesome. Like I said, whenever we talked about this, years ago, you're like, hey, I got this idea. I want to do a podcast. I don't know what I'm gonna name it. I don't really know what I'm gonna do, but I wanna do it. It's like, awesome, man. So now for me to be a part of it, I feel like, we've come full circle.
Yeah.
You watch me grow and I'm watching you right now. It's awesome. So I appreciate you having me.
It is awesome, man. Just keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, how do people find out where you guys are at?
Social media is the biggest form of marketing, it seems these days. We are Primal Instinct Strength and Fitness. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, all that stuff. We're located in Farmington. Currently, we're in downtown in the factory. Working on expansion right now. We got a whole bunch of wheels turning in the background that we will, we got some real cool stuff coming. We got some new stuff coming, new stuff ordered, some stuff we're really excited to share with the community. Just as we level up, so do they, because it's cool for us to get to bring a new experience to them.
Yeah.
So, that's where we're at. So
Awesome. Well, anyways, man, I can't say enough. I appreciate you. And you have a really, really interesting story, man. And I tell you what, for you guys out there, this is your day. Like, if you've had the $1 million idea that you've had in your mind, like you mentioned, I've had this in my mind for, I can tell you, about 4 years now.
been a long time.
And really talked about it for the last year. And just here about a month ago, I kicked it off and got started with it. So try it. If you have an idea, business idea, today is your day. Stop saying I'm going to do it and get after it.
Absolutely.
So other than that, Cole, I really appreciate you coming out.
Thank you, sir.